We got Yas Island.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Great, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for making the time to be with us. How was training?
Training was great. Today was a lighter session, focusing on some specific technique, working on my jab, working on breaking down things from the past fights, and hoping to get another one here shortly. So, staying active for sure, man, and working with my cornerman Diego, my head coach Jeff Jimmo. So, guiding us through some progressions and went really, really well.
You're loving the striking, huh?
I love it, man. I do. I mean, I love to fight, and it's like, I mean, I love grappling too. So I haven't really had a, I never really got into too much of a grappling. I guess into like a too much of a grappling situation in a fight. I love getting there in the middle, holding the middle, and getting after it. But I mean, it works for me in that Anthony Adams fight, I guess, controlling positions. But I love the grappling, man. I'd like to do some grappling tournaments soon. But man, fighting, there's nothing like it.
What came before in your background? Did you get into grappling, wrestling, or the striking come first?
Everything started at the same time. I didn't start anything until about 2.5 years ago now. Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, anything with fighting, I didn't really get into until at all until I started. So it was I really grew up playing sports when I went to when I was a senior in high school. Pretty much started playing football until my junior year. Then when I got to college, I started fighting in my last semester of school, so my senior year as well. So everything else kind of it started together at the same time for me.
And do you think you're able to carry something on from football to MMA?
For sure, it's I would say maybe the practice habit showing up every single day. That's definitely something I learned in football. You have to be there every day, you have to be present, you have to get after it, no matter what. And for me, it's important to make sure I'm consistent, and then I make sure that every single chance I get that I'm training. Every single chance I get, I'm studying film. Uh, Not afraid to hit somebody. Football, you always got to run into somebody. So I play linebacker, so that's definitely translated very well into MMA, and realizing that it takes a team to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, so basically discipline and you got rid of that flinch whenever something's coming at you, right?
For sure, man. Like, yeah, there's no need to flinch, no need to have fear. It doesn't serve you. It's like it's peaceful when we can do what we love. Like, imagine doing an interview, and every time you get an interview, freaking out. It's like
Yeah.
it's all the same. It's all connected to me.
And I was looking at your the training clips that you're uploading on the gram, and it looks real peaceful. I mean, the music in the background is really relaxing. What are you listening to these days?
Man, a lot. So when I'm trying to get closer to fights, I love all sorts of music, man. I love old school hip hop. I love country music. I love some rock. I love Congolese traditional music. I love salsa. It doesn't matter, reggaeton, anything. I love all sorts of music to listen to when I train. When I get closer to fights, I like to let my spirit connect with the way I'm moving, and I listen to a lot of worship music. So Lauren Daigle, I've listened to a lot of her. A song called "Still Rolling Stones" and uh, "Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus," and then I also like what is it? A lot of my music from my church called Elevation Worship. So they have songs like "Sea of Victory." Obviously, before a fight, that's always great to listen to. "Graves in the Gardens." My walkout song is called "Upon the Lord" from my church as well, Elevation Worship. And then a song that's really been an anthem for me recently has been a song called "Promises" by Maverick City Music. Man, it's just a powerful, powerful song, and they speak to my spirit, man.
Awesome. So a few weeks out, you're getting pumped with some more hardcore music, and once it gets closer, you try to really connect with yourself, keep it a bit more peaceful, more to your inner self.
For sure, yeah, pull it all together, man. Like and work from within.
Awesome. Do
So
you speak any Spanish, by the way? I heard you were tuning into some Spanish music, some Spanish
I'm
worship
working.
music.
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. My two quartermen, one's from Argentina, one's from Uruguay, and I grew up in South Florida. I don't speak Spanish fluently at all. So, but I've taken classes and I want to get going. I was telling my coach to practice languages. The UFC interviewed me a little bit. It asked me to speak to the Latin American fans or Latin fans, not just Latin American, but Latin fans. And I was like, okay. I said something in Spanish, and I got pretty good feedback on that. It's something I really, really like to learn, though, man. My mom, they speak multiple languages. My dad speaks 7 languages. My mom speaks five.
Oh,
So it's like,
wow.
yeah. So for me, it's like I believe I have it in me. I just have to discipline myself to do it. So my languages that I plan to conquer and get after are Spanish, French, Portuguese, and some traditional languages, Lingala and Chiluba, which come from my roots in Congo. So I'm gonna get after in Swahili as well. But I really want to make sure that I'm able to hit an international audience. There's so many people around the world who love fighting, and I guess fighting is the language that everybody knows. And I'd like to be able to connect with fans in different areas, not strictly with a translator, which maybe in the beginning, but be able to have like true conversations with them where we hear our voices and are really able to connect and communicate.
Yeah, and that's a big one because there's interpreters, right? But they always let something out, or sometimes even add stuff in, and you don't get that
Yeah,
connection with the audience.
for
And
sure.
yeah, us Latins, like I'm in Mexico, by the way, I speak Spanish. We are really appreciative when a guy actually makes an effort
Oh
to
man.
try to learn it. Like whenever we see Kobe, rest in peace, speak Spanish so
Yeah,
fluently,
yeah, for
we
sure.
go
Yeah,
crazy, man. It's really appreciative on our part that they actually
man,
try to get that in their game.
for sure. Rest in peace to Kobe. And that was a huge inspiration for me actually. I watching Kobe Bryant like speak and speak Italian, speak Spanish. I was like, you know what? It makes more sense for me to really, really understand. Because then I've seen other players, like people kind of be like almost degrading to the language. They would kind of just play around with it. But I'm like, it's a beautiful language. I have a lot of friends who speak it, and I think they all did their part. Everybody that I know has learned English, and I've learned how beautiful they are. But if I could speak to them in their original language, I can imagine how much more I could get to know people. And then it's like playing. Hopefully, when the UFC starts traveling around again, fighting in Mexico City, fighting in Guadalajara, anywhere. Like, it doesn't, just anywhere around the world where a different language is spoken, fighting in Brazil, fighting in let me think, in Russia. Like, I would just be able to speak to the people in their native tongue, I think or like Canada, French, and it depends where you are in Canada. But just like understand that people make them feel like, okay, I really, really appreciate your culture. And I think it's great for the brain. It's great for the brain to learn another language and um, have that have that dialogue.
Yeah, and you can never get enough knowledge, man. It's always great to have something extra up in the head. And yeah, MMA is getting huge here. You'll get a
Mhm.
really great response from the Latin fans, man. And I also noticed in the gym, I'm wondering if it's due to training amid COVID, or is that just you liking things relaxed? I see about only one or two dudes within the gym. Is that because of COVID, or is that your preference?
No, actually I prefer like a whole full mat space, but we've got to be smart because a couple of so Scott Holtzman, Selecki, John Salters in Bellator, Brian Barberina in the UFC as well. We've had to like have like quarantine sessions where we have to have a little bit more private. Our gym's already a private boutique gym where we have interviews and like not everybody comes in because we want the best people are going to build the community properly. But for me, it has to be I have to get COVID tests. So we have to make sure people are being safe. You don't want to make people stop living their lives, obviously. People have to work, people have to be on their families, but the limited amount of time that we are with other members, it allows us to train and get after it. So that's why you see the sessions like that. But usually when the mats are full, you can see maybe like 20, 30 guys on the mat getting after it and women. So it's like, it's a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Awesome. And what a month of August it was for you. Have you had time to just sit and process it, man?
In a way, yeah. I mean, I kind of like process it and get going. It's like, okay, cool. We did that. That's what we expected. We wanted to stay active. It's what we do. My coach always tells me, man, don't. It's something that we've agreed upon. It's like, don't admire your work until the end of your career. There's so much more to do. I don't want to grow complacent. I don't want to, fall into complacency where it's like, oh, this is what matters. My biggest goal is to, man, be the best to ever do it, past, present, and future. Take care of my family, represent my tribe, honor God. It's like I'm not here to one fight in the UFC is awesome. If I was gonna have my debut, whether it was 2 months since the contender series from the contender series, or it was gonna be one day. It didn't matter to me. If eventually my UFC debut is gonna come, and then number two, then number three, then so on and so on and so on. And my job is to claim victory, do my job, and improve between fights, improve in the fight, dominate, and move forward. I mean, I like to fight. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, and get another fight, and then stay active and fight. Maybe if I fight here the next few weeks, and then fight maybe 3 or 4 more times before the end of the year. I'm a fighter. It's what I'm called to do, and I thank God for it. And it's my platform, so I want to make sure I represent people. Man, before you know it, like fights will be open. So put the work in on the front end process. Hopefully, I can have a main event in Mexico City. Maybe I can have a fight main event in, Brazil, Chile. It's all over the world, man. And then to me, it's like, how do I set myself up by putting the work in now? My dad tells me when you're young, eat as much as you can.
Absolutely. Hey, will we be seeing you here at Yas Island?
Hey, soon, man. I'd love to be there at Yas Island. I'm working on it. got my passport stuff in, so I'm just waiting to get an offer. And when they offer me, man, I'd love to fight out there. Like guys like Chimaev, once he goes up to 185, that'd be a great fight. I'd love that. Anybody over the international. Plus, there's so many international fighters from that are, especially in the weight classes that I'm in, and 185 and up. So I think that puts me in a position to fight in Yas Island. And I feel like the more work I put in now, the more opportunities I get to pick my fights and where I go.
And a few names have been floating around. Chimaev, any? Have you been called out for it or anything?
I haven't been called out at all, actually, which is you're not interesting to me, but it's more like, okay, well, we found the UFC, we're here now, but nobody's really said anything to me directly that I know of, or maybe I missed it on social media, or I don't have the same source, same whatever connection. Some guys, we spoke with Marvin Vittori. I know you might be looking for somebody who's ranked right now. I understand. But I would be honored to fight him. Gerald Micharet, he has a fight already scheduled, but if anybody drops out, I'm ready to go. Maybe move up to light heavyweight and fight one of those fights next weekend if any of those fights are available. Thinking. Who
So
else?
light heavyweight, how much do you walk at normally?
Me personally, I walk around like 200 to 205. I mean, I'll fight anybody light heavyweight or middleweight and up, light heavyweight or heavyweight. I mean, it's fighting. It's not, it's not weightlifting to me. These guys are big, yes. These guys are whatever, but I would say if it didn't matter to King David, it doesn't matter to me, man. Let me fight and I'll do what I need to do. So
Awesome. And what was the change in the feels like when you fought at Dana White's Contender Series in front of the boss, and then having your actual UFC debut? Was there any change in the feel to it?
no, it feels like home, really. I feel like the first time I was in Contender Series last year, we claimed that victory versus Kalen Hill. It was like a puppy. I was so excited. And it was like, yeah, and then when you get older, you're like, you know what? I'm meant to be here. You're a grown dog. You've moved up in the kennel, and you're like, well, it's time to work. And I look at it like, at first, I was building a house. It wasn't finished, so I went back and let the builders keep doing what they're doing. I kept getting back to work, kept refining myself. And this time, it felt like home. And then same thing on the UFC. It's my UFC debut. And I love to fight. The UFC is an awesome banner to fight within, but I love to fight. And the more opportunities I get to fight, the more opportunities I get to move forward. Now, the best organization in the world, like who builds fight cages on islands and travels the world, that to me is important. So for me, it's like keep the main thing. All the lights are great, all the flashiness is great. Man, I really think actually the journalists like you, because that's what kind of made it comfortable for me. It's like you talk to different people, you're on the camera. I say something stupid. And then when you're in the UFC, like you're on ESPN, you understand how to speak to people, at least better. And so it's like everything's connected to me, and I am loving what I get to do. So that's how it is.
And how's it geared into you? I mean, the fact that you're being recognized more all of a sudden, people know who you are. How's that clicked into your mind?
Uh, I think it's a blessing, really, because it's like something like you pray for it in a way that the higher you go, the more you recognize for your work. But my validation comes from God. The validation comes, that's where my faith lies in, man. Like Jesus is more important than me, and He's blessed me with my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my girlfriend, and like my family. So for me, it's like that's what matters the most. And what they think about me, what my tribe thinks about me, what my teammates think about me is what matters. So when I go home, it feels like home. Yeah, it's like it's funny to me because like people say, "Oh, you're heard over the world," but when I go home, it's like, "Hey, pick up the dishes. Hey, take the trash to the trash can. Hey, we're going to the store. Hey," like to me, everything else is the same. I get back to practice. There's still something to work on. So that I think that's kind of keeping me grounded, keeping me at home. And my coach would beat me up, and my mom would beat me up if I acted a fool. So I'm very, very appreciative though, because people have reached out from all over the world. People are super sweet, super caring, and very supportive, and I thank them for that. So that's the one thing I think is different. It's like, oh wow, people of the world really appreciate what I'm doing and what we're doing as a team and we're doing as a tribe. So to me, it's like, okay, like I know this is something special. I want to make sure that I'm also accessible to to people who bring positive energy and positive love. So that's how it feels right now.
Awesome. And yeah, you definitely need someone, like in your case, your family, your home, to keep you grounded. We've seen a lot of athletes downfall when everything goes up to their head. It's pretty
Yeah,
nice you
man.
got that support system. And speaking
Yeah.
of the support, how did your family take it when you transitioned into what a father's proud of, like sports, right? Any sports, let it be football, soccer, whatever. But as soon as you hear your son wants to get punched in the face and try to punch someone else in the face as a career, how did your family take that?
My family's always kind of known me as a different kid. So it was funny. At first, they were like, "What? What are you doing?" And then it turned into, "Okay, this definitely fits you. This is you." And they were super supportive, man. They for a couple of years, I was working in accounting and finance. That's what I studied in school. I double majored in accounting and finance. Then when I finished, I was working, but I knew that if I wanted to do what I'm doing now, I had to let go of everything else. So they supported me, let me stay at home for free, help me with my meals, help me with everything. So they were all in, and they're still all in. And they host watch parties, they get after it, they pray over me. And I'm very, very, very thankful for my family. When they knew I was gonna fight, they kind of realized that it's in my blood. Congolese people are warriors. When you go deep down to my roots, my grandpa was a soldier. He's a warrior, and then generations before that, I know they were fighters, and I feel it in my blood. My dad used to fight a lot when he was a kid, never like professionally or like regularly to fights, but he loved to fight, and it was always something that really touched me. And they knew that when it came down to it, that this is what I'm called to do and meant to do. So they were all in.
All right, cool. And I heard somewhere that you were really inspired ever since you were young from stories of fighters, of warriors, let it be from the Bible or anywhere else. Can
Mm.
you elaborate a bit more on that?
Oh man, yeah, for sure. I appreciate that too, man. That's something about it. When I was a little kid, like I remember sitting, I could still I could take you to the place right now in Florida. It's called this church. I used to hear stories about like David, Gideon, Joshua, all these great warriors in the Bible, and something about them. I was just like, tell me more about that story. Tell me more about that story. They're like, what am I? He used to fight. He used to cut off the head of that person. So I remember, they say King David knocked the head off or threw the stones at Goliath, and then all of a sudden Goliath falls. But they don't tell you the part in kids' Bible study about him taking his sword out and then chopping his head off. Like to me, that would like just filled me with like this different kind of joy. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm weird or maybe it's normal for me. When I was young, I actually did a project on Muhammad Ali, and it was actually finding somebody who's the same birthday as you, the same birthday month. And what happened was I ended up finding out that Muhammad Ali and I had the same birthday, and I didn't know who he was. And my dad's like, "You don't know who he is? He fought in our country when it was Zaire. The Rumble of the Jungle is where my parents are from, Kinshasa." So for something, I was like, "There's something about it. There's something about it." I got older. There used to be this show called, like I think it was like they had these two. They would take it was a computer simulated show, but it was like made on Spike TV, and maybe you remember the name of the show. But they would do two warriors, two warrior tribes. Like they would
Yeah.
say like the Zulu versus whatever, like the Azande, or like what some tribe. And I always loved to watch it. I remember I never forget like, running back after school in high school, like just wanted to sit down and watch this show. And Deadliest Warrior, I think, was the name of the show. And I used to watch it. Then I would start reading about them. I was like, oh, this is how they live their life. And then I would like watch like SEAL units, and I love like military units, like always ready to go, always prepared. And I gravitated towards that. And then reading more about Muhammad Ali, these fighters and these warriors and gladiators intrigued me so much. I was like, especially during quarantine, all I did was watch stuff about the Roman Colosseum and those guys and how they fought and like their styles and Japanese culture with the samurai and like Miyamoto Musashi, all stuff like that. Like I read Book of Fire. I just love anything that has to do with that. I guess I nerd out on it, and I love anything like even like those goofy movies like Clash of Titans where they're just like doing these crazy. I loved it. Spartacus, anything that had to do with warrior and warrior cultures, and especially my faith, like that just gravitated towards me. Now I hear about my dad telling me stories about like Bantu warriors, Bantu tribes, and where like when you trace it to my ancestors, I'm like, okay, something in my soul would just it sets it on fire, man. Fighting does, and it keeps me calm. And so I knew that's when I kind of realized like maybe God was talking to me since I was a kid. I wasn't allowed to watch MMA, so because it's too violent. So my mom would make me she would like, cause I have a little brother and little sister. So what I would do is I would turn the TV on the Discovery Channel and press that flip the channel every time they hear me.
Yeah.
And I remember actually met Uriah Faber after my Contender Series fight. And I used to watch the California Kid, but I didn't know his name. I didn't know it was Uriah Faber. And I would just flip the channel. It was on those WEC days. And I would watch like Discovery Channel. Hey, what are you watching? Discovery Channel. I love it, because I really do. And then I would flip right back to the fights. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I wasn't allowed to do it, man. But something about it always made me just think. I remember watching Forrest Griffin. I think it wasn't Forrest Griffin Ultimate Fighter or something, but I remember whatever show he was on, I used to watch it. Then I met Forrest Griffin after the PI, and I was like, man, this is some full circle moments. And I realized, like, this is what I'm called to do. There's something always speaking to me about fighting and warrior cultures. And take some time actually right now to just to study some more of them and let that like permeate in my soul. So I mean, I love it. I love it so much.
I can notice the passion, man. And how
Mm-hmm.
surreal is it, like you growing up watching these guys on TV and finally
Mm-hmm.
actually seeing them in front of you? Because
Mm-hmm.
I imagine, like as a young boy, you had them up at a pedestal, like these guys
Mm-hmm.
are unreachable. And once you see them right next to you, you actually realize this is a guy who had a grind, just like me. How was that feeling for you?
Man, I remember watching. I don't know. I have to double check my facts on this. It could have been Forrest Griffin. It could have been somebody else, but I think it was somebody on Ultimate Fighter. And they're like, they didn't start training till they're 18. And I always remember like, man, when am I ever going to be able to have the opportunity to box or try to wrestle or do something? And then my senior year of college, like, oh, I can pay for it on my own. And it was something that I realized that like these people, everybody had a dream, but when they had the opportunity, they took it and they rode with it. So I said, when I ever do get that opportunity, the day I do get that opportunity, I'm gonna ride with it until the wheels fall off. And now seeing these guys is definitely a blessing. But it's like my culture would say, like for me, I have to do better than my dad, and I have to do to honor him properly. I have to do so much better in my own way, like in what I'm called to do. For guys like Uriah Faber, Forrest Griffin, Jones, Pierre, any fighter who's come before me who's done well, like the best way to honor those who came before us is to do what we need to do with excellence. And I see those guys now like, man, thank you. I'm really like filled with gratitude to see these guys. And I'm like, well, as a young boy, like you said, like I had them like on this pedestal. I was like, wow. And now I see them like they're just so fun to watch. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fight and make my own legacy, be legendary in my own way. And I'm grateful that I get the opportunity to do it now. But I was like, I realized like I have to keep working, I have to keep training, I have to keep studying. So I'm gonna, shower, then go for a walk, and then probably watch some more film. Man, it's like I have to make this my obsession, and I think I noticed those guys. So I'm very just filled with gratitude talking to them and seeing them, and it's been a lot of fun, man.
And are you like a better, like how do you learn better? How do you grasp knowledge better? Are you like you have to actually, you're a visual learner, you have to
Mm.
see stuff, or you like theory, practice?
I'm, I guess I'm a weird guy. Like I will watch animals move, man. I like to. I learned it from Kobe. Rest in peace, man. Like he used to watch cheetahs before one season just to see how they move. So I was like, man, like what can I do as a fighter that's like different? So I started watching animals move. I watched the way the ocean moves. It's like I like thinking about things. So I guess very theoretical because I grew up playing music, and music theory was always like theoretical. Oh, well, if you did this, this should be able to do this. They're like understand like the depths of music, and that's something I've always been interested in. Visually, I like to, yeah, I'll ask somebody to do it over and over and over. Like, what did you see? Like, what did you like optics? Like what was like my coach like? What did you see? Oh, I was doing that. I got to feel it sometimes too. Like, especially jujitsu or grappling. Like, if I feel it, I'm like, oh, okay. Or if I feel where something's going, okay, now it's a big feel. Striking is like definitely with the eyes. It's like always just okay. Oh, okay, I see where your foot is. I see like the way you fade and fade. Now let me go do it. Or creating something on my own. Like, oh, I like the way that looks. So it's very it's actually that's why I think I like fighting so much because it's like one of the few things I think I learned in my life where I can learn it from so many different angles and I can absorb it from so many different ways. Like before, like maybe if it's math or like something in school, English, science, or I'd have to see it a certain way because that's the structure. Fighting is so abstract to me that I can see my striking through my jujitsu, see my jujitsu through my striking, see my boxing through my wrestling, see my wrestling through my kickboxing. Something about it always like, oh, that's like this. Oh, that's like that. And it's a testimony to my coach, the head coach of Jim, my cornerman Diego Costa. He's from Uruguay. So and just having people who around me who are obsessed with it. So I'm excited to keep growing, keep going, and weaponize discipline, man.
Awesome. And you could tell like in the cage, you're obviously focused, right? But you're not like these other dudes that are just tunnel vision on the opponent. You look like you're genuinely enjoying it. And did you expect like your game plan to, like, you look happy in there? You really look happy. Did you
Thank
expect
you.
your game plan to run so fluidly against a guy like Maki?
I did. I did. I mean, it's not because Maki is it doesn't take away from Maki. But I think that to me, it's like it shows how great of a fighter Maki is. Like the better the fighter, the better work. I feel like it's so much fun. Like I really enjoy being in there. It's peaceful to me. Uh, we prepare, and then we prepare again, we prepare nonstop. to the point where, like, if you woke me up in the middle of the night, like it's time to fight, I don't know exactly what I need to do. The house is on fire. It's like a what is it called? Like a fire escape plan, like a safe fire safety drill. So all I know is like get in your structure, fight, and go. And when I see Maki, like I'm like, okay, cool. I break this down. I trust my corner. Time to get after it. Trust God that I'm here. I'm meant to be here. Time to claim victory and get after it. So, yeah, man, and I expect that, and I know I can do better too. You know, I know I can do a lot better. And there's so many things to improve on, so many things to work on, and that's what I like. But in a fight like that, I kind of we figured it out, use our brains, and super thankful for my corner. You know, put the game plan together. So it's just trusting them, and then I'm making those adjustments on the fly, like we did the Anthony Adams fight. Like some things weren't working, so I was like, okay, let's take him down and let's do this. And I think that comes from every day showing up in the gym, working on every single thing that we can, diligently, independently, day after day, and now we're reaping those benefits.
Awesome. And what a tough guy, right? Because you hit him with some shots, man. You were throwing some bricks at him. I was pretty surprised. I mean, those Islanders, they got a chin on them for days, man.
Man, I love Hawaiians, man. Holloway is one of my favorite fighters, and you see guys like Maki who come to fight, and to me it was an honor because, like, you know, the UFC will match that up. Those guys, Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby and Dana White, like that allowed me to make our presence known. Like we're here to fight. We're not backing down from anybody. And you know, Maki, I think he hurts people, even people that he's lost to. He gets after them. So for me, it was like I'm grateful for this, and I was surprised. I was like, well, not surprised, but like because of the warrior that he is. But I was more impressed. I was like, okay, this guy's really taking some shots. But I know that not everyone's gonna take those shots, and soon, praying God claiming this next fight, we finish the fight. We finish. You know, I'm young in this, so it's like every single day, it's getting that much closer to finishing fights. So ready to get after it, man.
Awesome. And you did mention that you really like Maki as a person, and you were even trying to go out or have a bite to munch. Did that happen? Like, did you go out with Maki?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I went by his room and we hung out a little bit. Then I went for a walk and I was sitting down with him. We had some tacos and talked a little bit. So a good guy. And then hopefully I'll see him again when I get to Vegas. He's a solid fighter. So then I would like to become training partners eventually. So, and I respect him. I really do. Good guy.
And there's that something, even though when there's animosity against someone you're fighting, you just can't have any disrespect for a guy after going through a fight, right?
For sure, yeah. And for me, it's no animosity at all. Like it's like I love it. I'm like, if you want to fight, if somebody has something against me, to fight them or whatever, that's on them. But like for me, it's like my coach shared this quote with me. It says, "Humble in amity, barbarous in battle." And it's like we're humble in friendship, but when we fight, we're barbaric. What we do is we get after one another, and that to me is the only way to live. So I'll be their friend before and after the fight. In the fight, I mean, I guess I'm their friend in the most respectful way by fighting with my whole spirit, my whole heart, and that's how I look at guys like Maki. I mean, like I respect it. I'm here to claim victory and move forward. I mean, I'm here to do my job. I don't have time to build this hatred in my heart or this anger for somebody that if I could fall through, then it's like, what did all that anger build? It's not any kind of scaffolding that will build up a person. What's more important for me is to have the scaffolding that is filled with love. So I love to fight. I love my family. I know what I'm fighting for. So guys like that keeps me going. It keeps me. Some people it's driven. You know, some people they need, I guess, that they think they need that, but I think that's a fleeting feeling, and it's also like low thinking. Like how much better could we be if we love people, right? So that's how I look at fighting.
Yeah, and the world is a crazy place right now. We definitely need a lot more of that, man. And you said you had tacos with Maki. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food? I love Italian food, but man, my favorite spot is a place called Tequila Mexico. It's here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Really, really good. And of course, I like to do chicken. I always shout them out, but it's like a hole in the wall spot. It's man, I love tacos. I really
So you
do.
like the Mexican grill?
I do love Mexican food, but I have to be careful because I don't want to say like some places they say they're Mexican food and you have your like every friend is Mexican. Like no, this is not it. I have a friend from Mexico who confirmed like no, this is traditional. So I love that food. I love spicy food. I love like meat steaks, brisket when it comes to barbecue. Mexican food I love like what's it called? Just go blank right now. Goodness, ceviche, I love that. I love you know tacos camarón, anything like that. I love just the foods that that come from Mexico or like influenced by that culture. Like I don't want to obviously be insulting anybody's culture, but I love that style of food, man. And I love anything with cheese, but I'm not allowed to have cheese. So I love it, but I'm not allowed to. So I do my best to stay away from cheese.
Yeah,
But
Mexican
yeah,
seafood is great, man. The ceviche is
it is.
great. How do you tolerate the spice? Like, because I myself, uh, the more spiced up I am, people think I don't even enjoy my food because I'm like this all the
Mm.
time. But there's just something to it. I have to eat that way. How do you tolerate the
Oh,
spice?
oh, I love spice, but I grew up eating spicy food. Like African food is spicy food too, usually, at least
Yeah.
Congolese food. So for me, it's I grew up eating, man. I love my food too. Congolese traditional food, oh, so good. Pondu, makayabu, fufu, all that food, man, I love it. And then spending with this thing called pili pili, it's like our own hot sauce. I love it. So I grew up eating spicy food, so I guess I have a higher tolerance than most. But man, if you give me some spicy food, like you said, like you're sweating a little bit, but man, the flavor, the way it kicks it off is really, really good to me, man.
And what do you miss the most while cutting weight, man?
Well, I'm actually kind of blessed. Like I can't really say much because I don't ever have to cut anything out. Like I was still eating like I wanted to all week. Uh, I've always been able to do that on fight week because I mean, I guess I'm not the biggest 85 in the world, so it's not the biggest cut. But I really like lemonade. So sweet drinks, like sugary drinks, I love those. Lemonade, sodas. I mean, I know I probably shouldn't drink them, but I love those. So I think about this during my weight cut or like popcorn. But other than that, I'm nothing else really, man. I'm pretty much like eating what I want during fight week, so I'm grateful.
And that's pretty awesome. So you're really into sweets because I just don't have the taste buds for it. Like I see people like having chocolate cake, donuts, and all this stuff. Like man, I wish I could enjoy that like he does. But it's just not in my taste buds.
Yeah, I don't really like. I don't like sweet like food. I like sweet drinks like lemonade, soda, fruit punch, stuff like that. But if you give me like a donut, I could care less. I'm like, yeah, it's there. A cookie's there. I could crush a box of Oreos if I wanted to, but I prefer like savory, like popcorn, salty buttery popcorn. I'll eat that all day. Pretzels, I love those, man. Like I could do that all day. So pretty dry snacks, but that's my favorite.
Oh, movie munchies, right?
There you go, movie munchies for sure,
And
for sure.
what have you been binging now during quarantine and lockdown? Like
Oh
just the
man,
Netflix.
I watched a show called The Yankee. That was really good. Uh I watched Ozark. I got to finish that with my girlfriend. I was blame her for the why we didn't finish it, but it's really on me. Um, I really like. I wasn't sure about the Roman Coliseum, but really Ozark and The Yankee are my two binge watch shows.
That's the ones you're on right now.
Yeah, I finished The Yankee. Now I need to finish Ozark. I'm not done with that one yet.
All right, awesome.
Mhm.
And now this is a question. Well, these all been questions that they've been submitting. This last one says, "Picture perfect. You're the number one contender. Adesanya's still the champ. What's Adesanya's greatest deficit?"
I think it's structure. Adesanya, he's an awesome fighter. He's very loose, but I feel like sometimes he can be out of structure and get caught with shots. And for me, when we fight, and Praying Guy's still undefeated by the time we fight, he's still champ or Costa whoever. But I'll decide in regarding this question, it's a structure. He doesn't stay in the best position to score, I think, at all times, and that to me is a discipline. That's why I should be claiming that victory.
That's interesting because most people actually hail his positioning, his angles, his stance. They say it's pretty masterful. So it's interesting to see that you see
I
holes
think
in the
it's
structure.
for sure. No, I think he has. I think his stance, the way he moves, is amazing. But his structure overall, especially in the mix, you've seen him like get caught with shots. You've seen him kind of uh, like especially when he fought Gastelum or when he fought Whitaker. Like he was obviously he won those fights and obviously knocked out Whitaker. But I see some things like if you're a little bit more patient with him, he's able to get touched up a little bit. He sees very, 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 very well. Obviously, he's an excellent kickboxer, but I see some holes in the structure that I mean, at least that's what I think I see. Some holes in the structure that I can definitely take.
And how do you see that title fight going, the Costa versus Izzy?
I see Izzy getting it by fighting more intelligently. I think Costa will come in there and move, but I think the way Izzy does move his feet, he touches Costa up. It's just kind of like it's like, not like I don't think Costa and Brunson are the same, but I think that Brunson came a little too much on Izzy and didn't play it intelligently in his same structure. Like look how Yoel fought Izzy. Stayed in structure and shot shots, and Izzy wasn't able to like really get in there and piece him up the way he liked to. But if you watch Izzy versus what's his name, Whitaker opened up, and got obviously dropped. So I see that Costa opened himself up because he wants the big shot, and Izzy intelligently touching him up or putting him out. Now, does that say Costa can't cut him or Isser cut him or drop him or anything like that? I don't think that's out of question at all. But I see Izzy being able to fight that much more intelligent by the excellent fighter that he is.
Awesome. And yeah, like the fight against Whitaker and Brunson, excuse me, that sort of turned into a mental warfare before the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what made Brunson just come out just raging. That got him off his game because he's usually pretty good at mixing it up, the wrestling and all that. And well, that gives you a really great advantage because you seem completely cool, completely tranquil during the fight. That's got to help a lot, man, especially with a guy who's trying to joke around with you, poke fun at you, get in your head. What do you think about all the trash talk, all these massive buildups in the fight? What's your take on it?
I think it's low level thinking, really. It's like, why do I need to trash another man to make myself better? I know that I'm better. I know that I'm going to dominate the fight. I'm going to claim victory. And I feel like if you're king, if you are the king, you don't hold yourself at the level of the lower level people, like at least in that class system. And that's kind of be able to be the king of the division, but they want to talk like everybody else. But they don't really mean it because they try to hug after. Like if you really have an issue with somebody, you don't go to war and then say, "Hey, buddy," it's like they become your prisoners. They become the ones that are behind you. But like if you can be true to yourself, to me, and say, "Let's fight as men. Let's fight as fighters. Let's fight as warriors." You don't need to say much else. Let the fighting do the talking. Now, am I all for going back and forth before a fight in a way that is with intelligence and with honor? Yes, I'm for that. But I think like trash talking is just something that people, it's shiny and flashy, but it's never going to be remembered. I'll be remembered for the wrong things. Like I plan to have kids one day. I plan to have a family and a legacy. I want them to be able to see my interviews and my conversations with people and the way I treat even my adversaries with the utmost respect and class. And then when I fight, let them pick their way out, make them run away. Like, we fought guys like the past 4 fights, Devorius Tubbs, Kalen Hill, Anthony Adams, and Maki. These are guys who usually come forward, right? These are guys who usually come and, they impose their will on their opponents and the people that they fought. We've been able to make Tubbs go in a circle the entire fight. Kalen Hill start wrestling, which he never did. Anthony Adams, we're able to break him that fight. And then, Maki, he was backing up as well. All due respect to all my opponents, but like you have to call it for what it is. And I think that comes from being genuine. I think that comes from being who I am. Am I a perfect person? No, but I'm not going to try to put a magnifying glass on somebody else's flaws or something to build up a fight and talk trash about them. Because most of the opponents I'll have kids. Most of the opponents that I'll face are older than me or have families, and much more than us fighting, which will happen no matter what with those 4-ounce gloves. Their children watch it, their families, their wives watch it, and you don't dishonor anybody's family or things like that. That's not how I was raised. And then I also think, like, as a Christian, as a person who wants to honor God and do my job, will I have struggles? Yes. Will I have things I have to repent for? Yes. But the things I can control, I will. And one thing I can control is how I fight and how we claim victory, and it's been working, and it'll continue to work. And then I can also control how I respond and who I respond to, because it's more important for me, like I said, as we were talking earlier, how I come home and who I come home to and what they think of me. And my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my tribe, my girlfriend, all those people, because that's where my heart is. And to be champion, I think being champion is part of also being someone who brings a change. Like they're going to do things a different way. And I want to change that in MMA. I don't think that going to change it, changing it now, that I don't need to be the kind of person who talks junk. The Bible says, a An answer filled with like rage or anger that brings more quarrel, but a calm answer deflects it, and then you control it. And you can go to the Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius talks about. If we let somebody control us with anger, that means they become our master. And I refuse to let anybody become the master of me. So that's how I look at it, man.
And the thing is, like, as fans, we know you're fighters, right? You fight in a cage, you do this for a living. But some people expect you to always be in fighter mode, like always mad,
Mm.
always on the offensive. So
Mm.
guys are expecting to, at a press conference, you're already going at it. And I mean, I'm all for someone saying I'm better than you because this.
Mm.
No, but I'm better than you because of this. But once it gets nasty, like you said, involving the family, dishonoring your culture, religion, like the Habib McGregor presses,
Mm.
I mean, it brings eyes, but it was cringy and nasty to see. I mean, there was a part
For
of me
sure.
that wanted to stop watching it. But you got two
Mm.
superstars, you're glued to the TV, but it was
Mm.
hard to watch.
For sure, man. And that's the thing. I don't want it to be hard for fans to watch. Like, I want people to see like a intelligent conversation. Like, you can say whatever you want. Like you can say whatever you want. People have the freedom of speech for sure. But like you said, it's the day we're on top, we're the title. People will come at because they want to bark. It's like a bunch of barking dogs. You got to put them in their place. Um, it's funny to me that people think that they have to be something they're not because they want to hug and talk about it after. Like, fight, I'm always ready to fight. There's no such thing to me as a fighter mode. Like to these fighters that try to make it seem something that they're not. But like, I can wake up, go fight, go to sleep, go fight. As everybody else can do it too. They try to act like they can't. But when you're a fighter and you truly train and prepare, that's where you can do it. People have to build up that anger. I think it's a build up like this trash. It's due to a lack of preparation in a certain category, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. It could be something else. Things where they feel like they have to do this. When really the one number one thing to do is prime your central nervous system, get going, pray, get going, respect, get going, and then lead the dance. Because a true fighter to me is somebody who controls the situation. So if you can control the situation even out the fight, you're not going to let somebody control you in a press conference. You're not going to let someone control you by that. You're not going to let somebody disrespect you. I'll never let anybody disrespect me, but I'll handle it, as I see fit. And that's going to be a way that's honorable. That's going to be a way that treats people well. And when it's most importantly, like remember who I'm representing: my God, my family, my tribe. And when I'm on those press conferences and somebody wants to get going, don't give them the time of day because they want that. They want that response. It's like a fight. You jab to make somebody jab so you can counter them. You kick to make somebody kick so you can counter them. You wrestle and you go to a certain position, show your head, and you take their back. It's all connected. So to truly be in fight mode will be to be able to control the situation at all times to me. And I feel like when people see that for real, like as I'm doing that and as I continue to grow in this career, from what I've been taught, you gotta weaponize your discipline, but disciplining yourself at all times.
Awesome. And yeah, all of that, like it brings hate to the game, and hate can just fill you up with negativity so fast. Like we see
Mm-hmm.
Habib, an honorable man. We saw him
Mm-hmm.
jump out the cage and try to hurt people that weren't in the cage. We never saw him act out like that. So it's been in this hate speech really brings out shadowy things in all of us, and you never know when you're gonna mess with the wrong guy. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't talk like that to Habib, and he never forgets stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that brotherhood is really cool, right? Like between those guys, because Chimaev, who has admitted to not even knowing him, he hasn't even met him in person. He shares the same culture, same religions, and just because he heard Connor say that, not even directly at him, he flew himself out to try to beat the guy up. So
Mm-hmm.
that brotherhood is the key to success, man. I think that's why all those guys are so successful, because it's all for one and one for all, and they're just disciplined dudes that are there to do what they have to do. No showboating, nothing extra, just what they got to do and go get back home.
Mm-hmm. For sure. That's why I respect guys like Chinmaya, man. Like, and they come to fight, they have their discipline, they have their faith, and they come to work. And that's it. That's how it should be to me.
Yeah, like you said, I go fight, smash someone, and get money and go
Mm-hmm.
home, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And to top this off, what's next for you? How soon do you expect to get in the cage again?
Hopefully, the next few weeks, maybe next 2 to 3 weeks, expecting something. I'm speaking to existence, man. I still like to fight next weekend on the 12th of September. I'd like to fight hopefully before the month of September is over. Then fight in October, November, and December. Fight once a month before the end of the year. So get in after it for sure.
And are you really big on manifesting things into existence, or
For sure, for
yeah?
sure. I believe in my faith, and as a Christian, we talk about speaking things into existence. So, I speak that, I'm going to claim victory every single fight, and I have, and, continue to do that. But it's also I believe that in order to manifest and to speak what you want into existence, you must also put the work in. So, there's one of my favorite verses. I actually have it on my wallet. It says, all hard work brings profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Or, all hard work brings profit, but mere talk puts no food on the table. It says in the Message version of the Bible. And for me, it's very important to, I believe in the best evidence, past, present, and future. That means every single thing I do will grow towards that. Now, other things I mess up in, yes, because we make a mistake in something that doesn't mean to take you away from your goals, but I must check myself. I must get back home and say, what can I do to be better today? Much improve from the day before. And that's where I'm going with it. So, like I said, today I'm training. Yesterday night I trained this week. I didn't say, I need to take a week off and go on vacation. No. I'm here to work. I'm here to dominate. And I expect great things because I'm putting the great work in. And I know that I have great people around me. So it's like putting it all together. And it says, when you have faith and works, there's nothing that's impossible.
And do you, like, I know some guys that they lose, they obviously go back to watching tape, say, where did I mess up? What do I need to do? But there's some guys that win and think that there's nothing wrong, that they can continue the same, and they just go with the same plan. Obviously, switch it up depending on the opponent. Do you watch a lot of tape of yourself? Like, you work on a lot of self-improvement?
Yeah, I have days where I watch tape of myself, and then I have days where I watch boxers, kickboxers, wrestlers, jiu-jitsu players, and then I watch MMA athletes who do it really well too and put it all together. Very, very big on the film study, very big on analyzing it. That's why I guess I get that transitions from my football days and understanding too, like to make those improvements, you got to see, at least I do. I mean, some people don't watch film. I know people that don't, but I think there are ways to obsess and take advantage of it. So I definitely do.
Awesome. And last question says,
Mm-hmm.
who do you got, Mike Tyson or Roy Jones Jr.?
I think Mike Tyson get him because of his power. You still see him hitting hard, but I think it might be Roy Jones. Yeah, for sure. I think if Roy is able to move, because I think he's been doing a little bit more exhibition matches, and I've seen him in person. I think that like he can probably move around Tyson. But we'll see. Like, I mean, if you watch Mike Tyson over time, when he fought like solid fighters and he lost, it was because he broke him. They broke him. So I want to see if Roy can do the same thing. So I'm calling Roy. What about you?
I'm kind of in the fence because I've seen training footage from both, but I was kind of concentrating on Roy because he's been the more active man. And I just saw Mike Tyson on yesterday's JRE, the Joe Rogan podcast. Great episode, by the way. And he just seems so focused, like he really wants this. He's really trying, and he's fighting through it because Joe Rogan puts the video of him hitting the bags, and he says that's amazing. Well, I was in bed for 2 weeks after those 30 seconds, and I could have quit, but I want to get in shape. I want to be better, and just his body transformation from a few months ago, it's amazing. So I think like he's really in it, and Mike's a killer. This is not going to be an exhibition match at all. I think
For sure.
Mike is going to go for the kill.
For sure. I think they're really trying to get after each other, which is not the only way to fight, honestly. I mean, at least at this time in my life, I think it's the only way to fight. So looking for that for sure.
Yeah, regardless, it's going to be cool. And Mike's even talking about not it being a one-time thing. Like he thinks he could still do it at a high level. Well, I don't know about that, but my eyes are going to be glued during that fight, most definitely.
For sure. Excited for it.
And I'm going to give you this last segment, man. Thank you very much for coming on. Tell the people where they can find you. Shout out to anyone you want. What's next for you? Stage is yours, man. Go ahead.
For sure. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it, man. I'm glad to be here. Thanks again for adjusting the time and my training schedule picked up. So I just want to say thank you to God. It's been a blessing to have people like you and journalists ask me questions and invite me. So it's definitely an honor to be on your show. So awesome, so professional. Love your eyes, Island. I like that. I want to thank my family, super supportive, my tribe, Jimmo tribe, all my training partners. J&J Mobile Detailing, they're here in the greater Charlotte, Gastonia area. The Movers Co., same area, greater Charlotte, Gastonia. North Carolina, where my gym is. Want to thank Liberty Performance Training out in Phoenix, Arizona, the Ray Athletic Club here in the greater Charlotte Gastonia area. Oh man, just Bliss by Dara. Man, she's made all my meals before my fight and post fight, so that's really helped out. And my cornerman, Sticky Delfino, he's from Argentina. And my Latin, Diego Costa, Uruguay, Coach of Jimbo, man, they've all helped me so much. And I want to say thank you to the UFC and their staff, man. They are truly professionals, top notch, world class, and first class. And I'm looking forward to fighting again soon. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for making the time, man. I hope we didn't bore you too much, man. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Have a nice day, man. Enjoy.
Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.